G'day there guys, it's Connie here again, hope you're all having a fantastic day. We're back with some more stories from Reddit. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe and all that stuff, and let's get straight into it. Okay folks, we're on relationships. This one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, Fiancee not happy to find out I was a clown? Throwaway account, but this is such a specific situation that I'm certain she'll see it, but my friends won't. So some context. I'm a pretty successful graphic designer. I was already working from home for a lot of projects for a long time before everyone started self-quarantining and practicing social distancing. While I'm definitely not part of the essential workforce, I've still managed to find some work to keep me busy. My fiancée has been furloughed from work and as such has been staying home with me, and we've been spending a lot of quality time together. One night we were having fun and joking together, and I jokingly said that everyone does weird things for money when they're in school, like start an Etsy or sell feet pics. She joked back and fake accused me of selling drugs. I told her it wasn't anything illegal, illicit, or nothing related to sex or drugs, but then accidentally let it slip that it was just embarrassing to me personally. And then after a second she stopped laughing because it became real. We talked about it and I said I didn't want to talk about it because it's super embarrassing and isn't who I am at all. She said that she understood and gave me my space about it for a couple of days. But after that couple of days, she seemed uncomfortable, and when I asked her about it, she admitted she was concerned about what I did for money. I told her it wasn't anything huge, I really just didn't want to talk about it, and I wished her to respect that and to trust me, but I could tell her not knowing was beginning to genuinely upset her. That night, I thought long and hard that this is the woman I want to marry, so I should be open about my past, so I relented and told her the truth. I used to be a clown. She was unhappy that it was something I hid from her, but it was a period of my life over the course of 2.5 months and 12 parties. She's been cold to me since, and that really sucks because we've been spending a lot of time together and we aren't really talking as much as we have been. From what I understand, she's probably more upset that I had to be pressed to tell her than admit it to her of my own volition, and I think I may have violated her trust. Honestly, the clown thing just never came up because who talks about their part-time jobs from almost 5 years ago? It's not on my resume and it was before we started dating, but I did end up sitting down with her and telling her everything. Now, I'm so scared that was a mistake because of how she's acting now. She hasn't told anyone, and though we haven't really argued either, but now I'm wondering if I'm just reading into how she's acting and obsessing over this new piece of information I put into her world. It feels like there's a new distance between us. Now, I wasn't hiding the fact that I was a semi-professional clown out of malice. I wasn't part of any unions or anything, just kind of a performer for hire, but more out of embarrassment because it's far and away from the type of work I do and the person I am today. Honestly, it's not a dark period of my life or anything, and I think the story itself is interesting. I'm one of those types that think some bad decisions can make good stories to a degree. But it's not something I like to talk about because while it is an objectively fun story, it doesn't have a particularly good ending. My act was very specific and weird. Only 2 or 3 friends know about it, I think, because they were at the party where I got the idea to perform as a clown for money, and I literally just used the same costume from that party for my acts. All things considered, I was pretty successful for what amounted to some weekend gigs. I didn't want it to be something weird that would follow me for the rest of my life, so I was secretive about it for those couple of months. I was always paid in cash, never check, and this was before electronic payments were huge. As in, I didn't have Venmo or do PayPal. Surprisingly, I made a few $1,000s that I had put towards some of the fun things I own, game systems, electric skateboard, etc. But I stopped when that terrifying clown hoax of 2016 was happening and heard that people were getting ready to gang up and beat up clowns. So I thought it was best to cash out and hang up the clown costume, so to speak. Also, because I know it'll be asked, back in uni I was an athlete as well, kind of. I was part of a martial arts club where we would perform martial arts choreography at certain school events. It was kind of like color guard but with punching. When I told Fiancée this during our first few months dating, she made fun of me relentlessly for days, but she ultimately thought it was kind of cool. Anyway, I put that athleticism in my act, where I'd break boards and do some parkour, but I'd also do some clown stuff like smack myself in the face with whipped cream and a dollar store pie crust, and talk in a stupid voice and trip. It was fun because I was making little kids laugh and impressing them more than I was scaring them. Sometimes I'd get a parent involved and have them steal my clown nose and run away, and I'd trip and fall, chasing them at first, which would set up the parkour chase scene of my act after I put some distance between us. By the way, it's hard to convince big dads that yes, I will absolutely catch up to you, and it will be much faster than you think. The kids love the act, and I learned I would generally get paid more if I involved the family, with plenty of warning beforehand of what I was capable of. I never ever advertised this. This was just word of mouth, and I think all my clients knew each other in some way, and knew me as basically a friend of a friend. What an interesting story. But yeah, I think Opie's onto something when he said that she's not probably upset about the fact that he was a clown, but more that he kept it from her. There's no reason to be so secretive about something like this. Honestly, it's a pretty fun and quirky story. Let's go to the comments. Dude, why are you acting like being a clown is on par with serial killing as a part-time job? I personally would have found that super funny and endearing. I think your girl's reaction is really weird and uncalled for. I don't think the girl is upset because he was a clown. I think it's more that he wouldn't tell her and let her imagination run wild, probably feeling anxious for days, and all for something so minor. If my fiancé didn't trust me enough that he refused to disclose that he was a clown, I'd find that upsetting. Yeah, let's be honest, with that build-up, my first thought totally would have been stripper and or call boy. And frankly, I'd also probably be a bit put off by the fact that he didn't just say it, but made me think who knows what for days and everything. It's just extremely weird. Quote, she's probably more upset that I had to be pressed to tell her than admitted to her of my own volition. I think this is likely to be true, but it's something you should ask her, and if I were in her place, I'd be suspicious that you're still not telling the whole truth. It really is weird to make such a huge deal and be so secretive about a weird college job. I think it's straight up neat that you were a clown. I don't love clowns, but your act sounds fun and interesting, and like kids and parents were having fun. What's to be embarrassed about? This should have been a Seinfeld episode. It would have been in character for Elaine to dump a guy because she found out he was a clown. Seriously, she might be distancing herself more because quarantine is tough and you both need some space. It's not a big deal that you were a clown. It's not the sort of thing where there's a right or wrong time to disclose this sensitive information. Opie comments on how he got into being a clown. Well, to be fair, I didn't do it because I was hurting for money. It started out as a favour to a friend that ended up snowballing into a paying gig that paid for some fun toys and knickknacks and a whole lot of pizzas. I know that it wasn't her intent to make me feel ashamed of it, and I don't hold it against her. Also, the other comments have pointed out she basically might be getting just stir-crazy, which we have talked about happening. And it's more that I did it for a short period of time, and it was in a time of my life, an entrepreneurial 21-year-old, where I did a lot of dumb and weird crap, and I attribute my brief stint as a clown as one of the weirder ones that is largely unbelievable. Hey, honestly, I find it impressive. Not many people would be able to do that. Okay, Opie updates the next day. Wow, so I wasn't expecting this to blow up as much as it did, or like at all. I spent a lot of my work from home, woo, reading all the comments and replies and tweets. Fiancé and I sat down and talked about it. I told her about this post because I was genuinely concerned about what I should do in this situation, and I have a bad habit of making jokes about bad situations sometimes, but we had a civil discussion. She told me that the reason she'd been acting distant was because, like some of you said, she thought I was lying about the clown thing. The reason I was embarrassed about it is because I didn't fully commit to it. No matter how it's a phrase, telling someone you were a party clown for 3 months either gets met with, wow, that's cool, or holy crap, what a lie. And she, like so many of you, went with the latter. So we talked about it like adults. I calmly explained that I was not lying, and that the story is stupid and inconsequential, but the circumstance in general of being a clown from start to finish is unbelievable in a way. I got the idea of being a clown at a costume party when a former friend told a drunk me he thought my costume was fun, and that I should be a clown for his nephew's birthday party. I thought he was joking until he actually contacted me about it the next Saturday and said he'd pay me $100 to $200 for the whole day. Being 21, that's a lot of scratch for being an idiot for a bit, so I did it, and then it just turned into a thing. I told her I stopped being a clown because I didn't want it to get out that I was one so publicly, and it was around the time I kept seeing posts on Twitter and Tumblr about people getting together to go hunt clowns, and I felt that even if it was fake, the chance of it being real and it happening to me was not really one I wanted to take. It was fun for a bit. If I'd been a clown for like half a year, I'd probably tell more people about it, but doing it for a short period of time comes off as kind of a lie. If you need proof, literally read half of the comments on this post. My fiancé is not crazy and high maintenance. She's normal, a little wild sometimes, and kinda cooped up here, but I love her all the same. Anyway, she believes me, which I'm grateful for. I apologized for not telling her sooner, and she apologized for pressing me to talk about something so clearly weirdly polarizing. Like really, this wasn't so much a post asking you all to take sides in the matter like you all are so seemingly ready to do, but more like asking advice on what I should do to try and bridge the gap in communication. She still seems to have some reservations, so I promised her that I would try and do my act for her in the park when the quarantine is lifted. She asked me to do it for her now, but I told her our apartment is too small and filled with things that might break. I talked to her in my clown voice and she hated it because she said it, in her words, sounds like Goofy on speed. Thank you, everyone. Goofy on speed. Some final comments. Also, I sense that it was probably more difficult for you to come clean about this, since when you told her about the martial arts thing, her first reaction was to mock and ridicule you for days. I would honestly understand you hesitating to open that part of your life up to someone who is so willing and happy to make you the butt of the joke. Opie says, thank you, you understand. For us, it's water under the bridge, and she has since apologized, and we watch martial arts movies together sometimes at her suggestion, which is also another reason among the list of many I asked her to marry me. Have you brought up to her that the fact that she made fun of you relentlessly for doing martial arts might have played a part in your reluctance to tell her about this part of your life? If you want to be trusted with information, you have to act in a trustworthy manner. He says, this comment was actually really insightful, and she read the comment and brought it up in our conversation. Thank you for your input, truly. Alrighty folks, and that's the end of that story. Yeah, it sounds like there was a bit of mistrust within the relationship there, but hopefully they were able to sort things out and work through it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Any clowns in the chat? Anyway, we're leaving that story there and moving on to the next. Okay, we're over on Am I the A-hole now? This one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my sister out for putting me on a blind date and lying to both of us about it? To cut a very long story short, my sister put me on a blind date with a wonderful woman. I agreed to it reluctantly, but was pleasantly surprised on said date, as she was pretty much my type, and it was the best date I'd been on in years. Here's the issue. The woman is 22. I'm 43. Now, this wouldn't have been an issue if we had just discussed this on the first date, but foolishly we didn't. For some reason, this conversation didn't come about for 3 months after the fact. Just for some context, the blind date was on Skype because of the current pandemic, and we only got to meet properly a few weeks ago. Nevertheless, I think due to being in lockdown, we both enjoyed having someone to talk to. Yeah, a few older stories today, but moving on. So where does my sister come into it? At no point did my sister ever mention the age gap was this big. When she said younger, I was presuming 30s, not barely out of high school. On the other side, my sister had told the woman in question that I was in my 30s, not 40s. My sister is 33, so I presume she just thought we would be closer in age. Anyway, when this revelation came about recently, I was seething and had it out with my sister for matching me with someone completely inappropriate, and for lying to both me and to this woman she claims to be a friend. She can't see anything wrong with it because as far as she's concerned, we're both adults and we've been going well for the past few months. Not to mention that I should have asked myself and not presumed. My issue is the principle. You can't lie to people like that, especially as I don't date very often anymore after my wife passed. She claims she only did it because she knew I would have said no otherwise. So, am I the a-hole for having a go at her, or should I just be grateful for her kindness? Edit, just to clarify, the woman I've been dating does pass for her late 20s, something even she herself confirms. I've only met her in person once, and the vast majority of the time we only called on the phone or texted due to our jobs having hectic schedules. There was no conversation about our childhoods or anything, which led either of us to believe the age gap was this large, and just to make it clear, I'm not remotely comfortable with this age gap, and my sister knew this. Yeah, I mean definitely not the a-hole, right? Like the sister knew he would have issues with this and yet did it anyway. It's very sneaky. On to the comments. Not the a-hole, that's bonkers to me. Like, dating with an age gap is certainly doable, but a 20-year difference means you two are at completely different stages in life and maturity. How did she not see that age would be an issue? Not the a-hole. Your sister set you two up knowing it would be an issue for you, and I'm guessing the young lady she set you up with, which is undoubtedly an a-hole move. Opie says, the woman I've been dating apparently doesn't mind, but I'm still very much on the fence. 20-year age gaps just aren't appropriate. Not the a-hole, but don't let this consume you. Your sister wants you to be happy, so she lied to try to nudge you along on a date. That was wrong, and she's an a-hole for this, but only mildly so. Put your foot down with your sister and tell her that her meddling and dishonesty are counterproductive, and that if she wants you to be in a relationship, she's not helping by doing things like this. But don't let this hurt your sibling relationship too much. Sorry for the loss of your wife, and I hope you find happiness. Opie says, thank you, that's very kind. Honestly, I'm furious at her because I feel like I was led into a non-starter. Oh, first I'm hearing about him losing his wife. Not quite sure where that was mentioned. Opie replies to someone who is in an age gap relationship. Thank you for your condolences. I've not made this clear, but I'm not against age gap relationships as a whole, but I personally do not feel comfortable with it. I'm glad you found love, and love truly is a wonderful thing, so if you can find it, take it. For me, however, this simply will not work, and this young woman deserves better than an old geezer hanging on to her. Okay, Opie updates 1 month later. So I've had quite a few people asking me for an update, which was very thoughtful, and I thought it would just be easier to share in case anyone else wished to know. First of all, thank you so much for the support and love. It really did help, and it made me feel very welcomed. Ultimately, I stuck to my guns and broke things off. Many of you asked how on earth I could have gone all of that time without knowing her age. Well, that was because she knew my age, and initially lied to me. Apparently she and my sister had already had a conversation about my age, and how it wouldn't be an issue for her. She then asked my sister if I knew, and my sister said, and I quote, "Just play along." When I found out about this, I just had enough from both of them and left them to their own devices. It has been about a month, and my sister and I are simply not speaking. She tried to call me and tell me that this was for my own good, but I just let her get on with it. I'm not necessarily mad at either of them, but I'm just done with them. The feelings I felt for the woman were more or less manufactured because she put on a persona which she knew I would be attracted to. Although it has been some time, I'm still exhausted by the whole situation, so I would prefer to keep my distance from the two of them. Nevertheless, thank you so much to those who replied and checked up on me. It meant a lot. For now, I will just keep going on my own, but these things happen. Reddit and Twitter did prove that there were some decent people out there. Not necessarily saying the woman in question isn't decent, I just question her approach to this particular situation. Oh, and to those saying a male widow is a widower, I'm very much aware of that, but after years of saying it and having foreign relatives not knowing the difference between the two, I stopped caring as they both meant the exact same thing, a person who has lost their spouse. An edit, oh my goodness, I'm completely overwhelmed by the response. I've been busy and have been in a bit of a slump since this whole drama blew up. But all these kind words and messages have really put a smile on my face. Thank you so much, everyone. I really do appreciate it. And now for some final comments. If she lied about knowing his age, what other lies did he have to look forward to? Was she looking for financial gain, or pretending to be a different person to hook him? Would she have gone to the point of baby trapping him? Sis is trashy, but how trashy could a woman be who was willing to go along with it? Dude dodged a nuclear missile. Sounds like she was lying about traits, hobbies, etc. to appear more attractive to him in his update. Next thing he knows, she gets a massive tattoo made of all his tattoos, and then he has to marry her. Sarcasm. If you saw the episode the other day, you'd understand that reference. I'm trying to understand how, with the sister's mindset, thought this was a good idea. Like, I'm sorry, but pushing a 22-year-old person to date a 43-year-old? What the hell? She really thought that her knowing he would say no justifies her lying to him about the age gap. That's such a ridiculous thought process. How do people not understand that "I didn't tell you because I knew you would refuse" actually makes things worse, not better? I understand people being well-meaning or whatever, but if someone doesn't want to date or find another partner at any point in their life, especially if they've lost a spouse, leave them the hell alone about it. I don't want this to get misinterpreted, but I just need to say out loud, mind your business. Encouraging them if they're nervous is fine. Asking them if they're interested in ever dating again is fine. Trying to force things or behaving as though they're deficient or grieving incorrectly because they're uninterested in dating just ain't it. And that poor guy, getting lied to by two people he thought he could trust, even if he had decided to go forward with the age gap, which I'm glad he didn't, That revelation would have decimated whatever trust he had. Yeah, exactly. And what a shame, too. I feel like this could have ended a lot better, but they were just so manipulative and sneaky. I'm sure they'll argue their intentions were good, but come on. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, that's it from me today. Hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.